Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to online lecture 6. In the previous lecture we had studied the introduction to novel GIT drug delivery system, and in conclusion of that we had discussed the novel approaches for GIT drug delivery. Today we'll be continuing the previous topic where we left. The topic that we are going to study now is gastroretentive drug delivery system. This topic is again subdivided into two main parts, that is floating drug delivery system and mucoadhesive drug delivery system. Before starting its approaches, let's discuss why to opt gastroretentive drug delivery system for the delivery of drug. Oral administration is the most convenient and preferred means of any delivery to the systemic circulation. Oral controlled release drug delivery have recently been of increasing interest in the pharmaceutical field to achieve mainly improved therapeutic advantages such as the ease of dosing administration and patient compliance and flexibility in the formulations. Drugs that are easily absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract have short half-lives and are eliminated quickly from the systemic circulation. Frequency of dosing of these drugs is required in order to achieve the suitable therapeutic activity. To avoid this limitation, the development of oral sustained controlled release formulation is an attempt to release the drug slowly into the gastrointestinal tract or GIT and maintain an effective drug concentration in the systemic circulation for a long period of time. After oral administration, such as drug delivery would be retained in the stomach, and the release of the drug in a controlled manner is achieved, so that the drug could be supplied continuously to its absorption sites in the gastrointestinal tract. These drug delivery systems suffer from mainly two adversities, that is the short gastric retention time and unpredictable short gastric emptying time, which can result in incomplete drug release from the dosage form in the absorption zone, primarily from the stomach or small intestine, leading to diminished efficacy of the administered dose. In order to formulate a site-specific orally administered or controlled release dosage form, it is desirable to achieve a prolonged gastric residence time by the drug delivery. This prolonged gastric retention would actually improves the bioavailability and increases the duration of drug release and reduces the drug wastage and improves the drug solubility that are less soluble in high pH environments. Also, with the prolonged gastric retention times in the stomach, it would be advantageous for local action in the upper tract of the small intestine. For example, there are various treatment options that require the local delivery of the drug, like treatment of peptic ulcers. So how do we define the gastroretentive drug formulations, or we can say that what are the gastroretentive drug formulations? Gastroretentive drug delivery is an approach to prolong the gastric residence time, thereby targeting site-specific drug release in the upper gastrointestinal tract for the local or systemic effects. I'm repeating the definition again. Gastroretentive drug delivery is an approach to prolong the gastric residence time. If the gastric residence time would be prolonged, it would actually release the target site specific drug delivery in the upper gastrointestinal tract for local or systemic effects. Gastroretentive dosage forms can remain in the gastric region for longer periods of time, and thereby they significantly prolong the gastric retention time of the drugs. Over the last few decades, several gastroretentive drug delivery approaches have been designed and developed, which includes a high-density sink-in system that is retained in the bottom of the stomach. In this system, the drug would be of higher density and it would actually retain in the bottom side of the stomach. There is another system which is called as low density floating system that causes buoyancy in gastric fluids. That means the drug is having a lower density and it keeps floating on the gastrointestinal fluid. And the third system is the mucoadhesive system that causes bioadhesion to the stomach mucosa. The drugs are embedded in polymers, and polymers actually stick to the mucosal lining of the stomach and thereby increase the gastric retention time of the drugs. There is another system which is called as unfoldable, extendable or swellable systems. These systems limits the emptying of the dosage form through the pyloric sphincter of the stomach. Superporous hydrogels are also used for delaying the gastric retention or for the gastric retention of the drug. And there is another system which is called as magnetic system. We will primarily be focusing on these two systems, that is floating drug delivery system and mucoadhesive drug delivery system. High density system is not opted for delivery of drug in humans, rather it is used for the veterinary pharmaceuticals. The stomach anatomy and physiology contain parameters that are to be considered in the development of gastroretentive dosage form. To pass through the pyloric valve in the small intestine into the small intestine, from the stomach into the small intestine, the particle size should be in a range of 1 to 2 millimeter. The drug particle size should not be more than 1 to 2 millimeter. If the drug particle size would be more than 1 to 2 millimeter, it would retain in the stomach. So the most important parameter controlling the gastric retention time of the oral dosage form includes density, size and shape of the dosage forms, the food intake and its nature, caloric content and frequency of the intake, posture, gesture, gender, age, sleep, body mass index and physical activity also accounts for the important parameters in the gastric retention time. And the disease states of the individuals, for example, people suffering from the chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension, and administration of drugs with impact on gastrointestinal transit time. For example, the drugs that are acting as anticholinergic agents like atropine or propanthenol, the opiates, for example, codeine, and prokinetic agents, for example, metclopramide or cisapride. These drugs would influence the gastric retention time, and they are important parameters to be considered when we are improving the gastric retention of the drugs. So the concomitant administration of these drugs can actually affect the gastric retention time. The molecular weight and lipophilicity of the drug, depending on its ionization state, also plays an important role, and it is also considered as an important parameter in controlling the gastric retention time. Let's discuss these parameters in detail. The density of the dosage forms. The density of a dosage form affects the gastric emptying rate and determines the location of the system in the stomach. The dosage forms having a density lower than the gastric contents can actually float to the surface, while the high density systems sink to the bottom of the stomach. Both positions may isolate the dosage system from the pylorus. A density of less than 1 gram per centimeter cube is required to exhibit floating property. So let me explain you by drawing a diagram that how would a low density system would float and a high density system would sink. So let's see what happens in the high density and low density floating systems. The stomach is composed of 3 parts. This is the part of pyloric sphincter. The drug will have to pass through this part in order to go to the small intestine. But when stomach contents are present, or specifically the gastrointestinal fluids are present, the density of the drug or the dosage form plays an important role. If the dosage forms are higher in density, they would stick to the bottom of the stomach or sink towards the body of the stomach. Whereas if a dosage form is having a low density system, it would float on the gastrointestinal fluids and would retain on the GI fluids by maintaining a specific buoyancy. Next is the volume of the stomach. The resting volume of the gastrointestinal fluids in the stomach is around 25 to 50 ml. Volume of liquids administered greatly affect the gastric emptying time. When volume is large, the emptying is faster, gastric emptying is faster. So the fluids taken at body temperature would leave the stomach faster than the colder or warmer fluids. The shape and size of the dosage form also plays an important role in the gastric emptying. Shape and size of the dosage form are important in designing indigestible single unit solid dosage forms. The mean gastric residence time of the non-floating dosage forms are highly variable, and they greatly depend on the size, which may be large, medium and small units. The gastric residence time of non-floating dosage forms are highly variable. The gastric residence time greatly depends on the size of the dosage form. This dosage form could be a large one, a medium one or a small unit. In most of the cases, the larger the dosage form, the greater would be the gastric retention time. Due to the larger size of the dosage form, it would not allow to pass through the pyloric antrum into the intestine. As we had previously seen the stomach diagram, if the size of the dosage form is larger than the size of the pyloric sphincter or the opening of the pyloric sphincter, it would retain in the stomach and its gastric retention time would be increased. Dosage forms that are having a diameter of more than 7.5 millimeter, they show a better gastric residence time as compared to the dosage forms having a diameter of 9.9 millimeter. Ring-shaped and tetrahedron-shaped devices have a better gastric residence time as compared with the other shapes of the gastroretentive dosage forms. The effect of size of the floating and non-floating dosage forms on the gastric emptying have concluded that the floating units remain buoyant on the gastric fluids. That means they remain on the gastric fluids and they try to float for a longer period of time. These are less likely to be expelled from the stomach when they are compared with the non-floating units, which would lie in the antrum region and are propelled by the peristaltic waves. Another factor is the food intake and its nature. Food intake, viscosity and volume of the food, the caloric value and frequency of feeding all have the profound effects on the gastric retention time of the different dosage forms. The presence or absence of food in the GIT or gastrointestinal tract actually influences the gastric retention time of the dosage form. Usually, the presence of food in the gastrointestinal tract improves the gastric retention time of the dosage form and thus improves the drug absorption, thereby increasing the absorption and allowing it to stay at the absorption site for a longer period of time. This is most effective for the dosage form which do have their absorption window into the gastric mucosal linings. Again, increase in the acidic value and caloric value slows down the gastric emptying time, which can be improved in terms of gastric retention of the dosage forms. The nutritive density of the meals helps determine the gastric emptying time. It does not make any difference whether the meal has high protein or fat or carbohydrate content, as long as the caloric content is the same. There is a difference between gastric emptying times of liquids, digestible solids and indigestible solids. The emptying of large, almost 91 millimeter indigestible objects from the stomach is dependent upon the interdigestive migrating myoelectric complexes that we had discussed in the previous class. When liquid and digestible solids are present in the stomach, it contracts almost 3 to 4 times per minute, leading to the movement of the contents through partially open pylorus. Indigestible solids larger than the pyloric opening are propelled back or they are exported back, and several phases of myoelectric activity take place when the pyloric opening increases in size during the housekeeping phase and allows the sweeping of the indigestible food. The gastric residence time can be significantly increased under the fed conditions since the MMC is delayed. There is an influence of the gender, posture and age on the gastric retention time. Generally speaking, females have slower gastric emptying rates than males, and the effect of the posture does not have any significant difference in the mean gastric retention time for individuals in either position, whether in upright, ambulatory or supine state. In case of the elderly persons, gastric emptying is slowed down. So, what are the potential drug candidates for gastroretentive drug delivery systems? What are the candidates that can be converted into GRDDS? There are almost 5 classes of drugs. Drugs that are locally active in the stomach, for example, misoprostol and antacids. Drugs that have narrow absorption window in gastrointestinal tract, for example, L-Dopa and para-aminobenzoic acid, furosemide and riboflavin, they can be converted into GRDDS. Drugs that those are unstable in the intestinal or clonic environment, for example, captopril, ranitidine and HCl or metronidazole, they can be converted into gastroretentive drug delivery systems. Drugs that disturb the normal colonic microbes, for example, antibiotics against Helicobacter pylori, they can be converted into GRDDS. And the drugs that exhibit low solubility at high pH values, for example, diazepam and chlordiazepoxide or veramame, they can be converted into GRDDS in order to increase the bioavailability of these drugs. But there are still certain drugs that are unsuitable for gastroretentive drug delivery systems. Drugs that have very limited acid solubility, for example phenytoin, are not suitable for conversion into GRDDS. And drugs that suffer instability in the gastric environment or acidic environment, they cannot be converted into gastroretentive drug delivery system, for example erythromycin. And the drugs that are intended for selective release in the colon, for example aminosalicylic acid and corticosteroids, they cannot be converted into the gastroretentive drug delivery system. So that's all from the lecture 6. We will be continuing the same topic with the approaches in gastroretentive drug delivery system in lecture 7.